I'm the best ever. I'm the most brutal and vicious and most ruthless champion there's ever been. There's no one can stop me. Lynx is a conqueror. No, I'm Alexander. He's no Alexander. I'm the best ever. There's never been anybody as ruthless. I'm Sonny Liston. I'm Jack Dempsey. There's no one like me. I'm from their claw. There's no one that can match me.
No affiliation, why they faking? This ain't for debating. We the real, they really imitation. I be contemplating why this ain't on like heavy rotation on radio stations. I just pray the Lord give me patience, cause I'm running through these rappers like my name Walter Payton. Shitting on these rappers, 9 to 5 is my occupation. Raw, you come in with your best troops, you best bring more. Already told you I got the juice like Orenthal. Already know what I'm about to do, bet your men fall. Everyone know that we got the truth, all your men falls. So boss, overtaking our enemies. Moves calculated and orchestrated like symphonies. Smooth operated when bringing haters to misery. Top 5 list ain't shit unless you mention me. Yeah, that's why we don't associate. Fuck niggas make them more fuck niggas. Why they procreate? Why they overhate? Cause they time is short and a moment late. Let it culminate to they harder race and it palpitate. Cowards perpetrate like they little group is respectable. Talking intellectual, all of you homosexuals, faggots.
There's no one like me. I'm from their claw. There's no one that can match me. My style is impetuous. My defense is impregnable. And I'm just ferocious. I want your heart. I want to eat his children.
I don't want to congregate. I don't want to deal with you. I don't want to fellowship. I ain't trying to build with you. Ain't the UPK, ain't the truth. Keep it real with you. Defenders of the faith, I got no problem bumping heads with you. All that bullshit, you can take it over there with you. Rather be a houseboy. Rather run with them field niggas. Show them to put in work. Move mountain, crush hills, nigga. Take a dead soul. Breathe life and make it live, nigga. No affiliation, so it's no one to compare with us. Took the Lord's laws and just added it with fear, nigga. Ain't for the body, cause you know that killer hit quicker. With these bars, I'm on my grizzly, so bear witness. You spit cold, I spit flu. Don't compare sickness. You floss diamond, I floss fringes. Don't compare dentist. You PK. We men the wall shit, we ain't Christian. Harm one of us, get pistol whipped like the gun got a belt with it. I'm bred different. The competition just a mill. I'm fed different. I stood front line on them fields, I bled different. I'd rather be a corpse than a coward. I'm led different. Shit, I'm led different. Come through like a juggernaut, so don't get in the way. And we take everything serious. We don't play. I wonder now what they gon' say. Shit, we make profits out of shooters like the NBA. You get slayed. But switching sides, nigga, we ain't on the same page. Immaculate conception. Wow. These niggas bitch made. I'm sticking with the foundation where my bricks laid. You switch sides, I'd rather switch cage. You was never with us, nigga. Just know we on mission, nigga. Right hand hold the scriptures, nigga. Left hip hold the pistol, nigga. How you want it? You can get it spiritual or physics, nigga. Wrong ones to come against, so bring an army with you. No affiliation. When you see us, make the difference with us. No affiliation. When you see us, know we different, nigga. No affiliation, so no, you can't kick it with us. The wrong ones to come against, bring an army with you.
Shalom, Yahweh Shem, Yahweh Shabbarakatham. To all my brothers and sisters out there, all the Akim and Akwapium, we are the ISUPK coming out of 1 West, Harlem, New York, 125th Street, under Commanding General Yohana. And once again, we always say if it's not under Commanding General Yohana, you are not in the truth. Welcome to the Baltimore Tuesday night Brotherhood class. Welcome everybody all around the globe. The title for tonight is going to be Brotherhood Lessons from Scriptures. So since this is a Brotherhood class, of course we need to talk about the spirit of brotherhood, and we're actually going to look at some scripture examples of when people of our lineage showed great and exceptional examples of brotherhood. You see, the white man is the devil, and the reason he is the devil is because one of the things he wanted us to do is to forget where we came from and to lose our identity. Okay, and he has a series of systems set up to cut us off from that identity so that we won't look to our lineage for examples. See, when somebody loses their identity or loses, they don't know where they came from, then they don't know the examples, they don't know where to look to learn from. Captain Cesare said it best. If you ask 5 different black people who they are, they're going to give you 5 different answers. They're going to give you, some will say, well, I'm a Muslim. Some will say, well, I'm a Pentecostal. Some will say, well, I'm a homosexual. Some will say, I'm a Republican or a Democrat. Some will say, I'm a Kemet guy. Okay, 5%er. Okay, all these different things that have cut us off from our identity. And since we've been cut off from our identity, we have lost, in the nation of Israel, we have lost unity and we've lost brotherhood. And so because of that, we have lost the examples. We don't know the examples to look to. That's why brothers and sisters out there need to come into the UPK. Because when you come into the UPK, you will learn or relearn those things that were lost. And you will learn what brotherhood is. You will learn what unity is. King David spoke about this. Let's go to Psalm 133 and start in verse 1. He spoke about this. It's important for us to have brotherhood in the nation of Israel. It is important. Let's find out what King David said about the importance of unity. Let's find it. We got Psalm 133? Let's read that. Baba Kushai.
Psalms, chapter 133, verse 1. Behold, how good and pleasant is it for brethren to dwell together in unity.
So he's saying how good and pleasant it is for brethren to dwell into unity. How good and pleasant. Let me ask you, why is it good and pleasant? Somebody answer that question. Why is it good and pleasant for the Akim and Akwakim to dwell together in unity? Somebody want to come?
Because it brings us closer. It makes us love each other more.
Come. Anybody else want to add?
Come, sir.
Come.
Well, to be in unity is to be on one accord with your brother.
Come. To be in unity is to be on one accord. And see, come.
Pleases the Most High.
And it definitely pleases the Most High. It's actually part of the commandment.
Right.
Because, one of my favorite commandments is, I like how Yahweh Shah quoted it. Love the Lord with all your heart, all your soul, and all your mind. And the second one is like it. They're on the same par. It pleases the Most High. It can't please the Most High if you sit up there and tell me you love the Most High and you hate your brother. It's what I guess it's oxymoron, or it's irony in there. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't connect. So it does please the Most High. There's also power in unity. And see, the other nations know that. I always say this. People are tired of me saying this every week. But I'm going to continue to say this every time I speak. Every other nation is racist except black people.
Right.
Because every other nation that comes over here knows the power of unity, knows the power of brotherhood. These nations will come in here and they won't fully assimilate. If that was true, there would be no Chinatown. There would be no Greek town. There would be no Little Italy. And these nations know the power of supporting each other. Politically, economically. It's only us in the nation of Israel who have been brainwashed by the heathen to believe that if we fully assimilate into the heathen, then things will get better for us. When just the complete opposite has happened. When integration happened, black people became worse. The father left the household. Our black businesses were taken away. The best doctors and lawyers and teachers that were all in one neighborhood were all now dispersed and scattered about. So there is power in unity. Let's finish it. Baba Kushab.
Verse 2. It is like the precious ointment upon the head that ran down upon the beard, even Aaron's beard that went down to the skirts of his garments.
So he's comparing how beautiful unity is. When Akim and Akwakim are dwelling together in unity. He's saying it's precious just like the oil that was running down the beard of Aaron. All that was dripping down. That's how precious it is. So brotherhood is very, very important. The Lord loves brotherhood, and he loves unity. And we now need to look in the nation of Israel as brothers and sisters, and looking at ways that we can get back to that unity. And one of the ways to get back is to come back to these laws, statutes, and commandments. That's what's going to separate us from other nations. That's what's going to set us apart. Because when you go back to these laws, statutes, and commandments, then we will start to think alike. We'll start to think on one accord. Like I said, black people, the black, Hispanic, and Native man, we all think in 20 different ways. Because we associate ourselves to 20 different things. And that was what the heathen wanted. He wanted us to associate with 20 different. We don't even have a common language that bonds us. We have the slave language. That's why General Yohana has instilled the Lashawan Kodash. Because in language brings out culture, it brings out unity. That's why when you go in a Korean shop, they'll talk to you in English, but they don't tell you everything they talk about. How? Well, they exclude you when they start speaking their native tongue to each other. And they can be talking about you. But they do that purposely. Other nations purposely use their language to exclude others. That's why when we come back to these laws, statutes, and come back to the laws, statutes, and commandments of the Most High, we need to purposely exclude others by using that Lashawan Kodash more. And we need to exercise that more. We need to teach our children that, so that that our children will be speaking it secondhand. Sometimes I forget I'm speaking Lashawan Kodash because I'm so used to saying Khan all the time. Sometimes I'll be talking to people who are like Khan. I'm like, oh wait a minute, it would just come out. Or somebody gives you something, I'll say, oh wow. I'm like, thank you. People at work will look at you like, what are you saying? It happens to me all the time. They'll be like, hey, how you doing? I'm like, it's a while. And I'm like, oh, I'm good. Right. But that's what you want. Yeah. Because that's how you know the language is sticking. You don't have to think.
Right.
When the language is sticking. But we need to, in the nation of Israel, we need to do that more, practice it more, so that when our children grow up, they will be speaking it so fluently that they will be excluding those other heathen nations. And that will bring about unity, because language brings about unity. Okay? But it's important for us to have unity. And today we're going to look at some examples. It's going to probably be a part 1 and part 2. So we'll say this is part 1 of this series, because we're going to go slow and we're going to look at different biblical examples of different brothers. We're going to even have sisters in there, probably in the next one, of them showing this true spirit of brotherhood. But it's important to the Most High that we have our unified. Let's just look at a couple scriptures before we get into that. Because the Most High is going to reunite us. Let's look at Ezekiel 37. Let's just get that real quick. We're just going to look at a couple of scriptures where the Most High has shown that he is going to make sure that we are in unity. That he is going to reunite us, because it is important for him. Because right now, you got the kingdom of Judah, and you got the nation of Israel, and we're all scattered about. But there is going to become a time where the Most High is going to take all of us and unite us into one kingdom. And then, and we're seeing that, we're seeing the preliminaries of that today. And that's why thank you to Yahweh in the name of Yahweh for commanding General Yohana. Because that is something that he is pushing in the nation of Israel. Let's look at Ezekiel chapter 37, and let's start in verse 19. We have that?
Come on, sir. Ezekiel chapter 37, verse 19. Say unto them, thus saith the Lord God, behold, I will take the stick of Joseph, which is in the hand of Ephraim, and the tribes of Israel, his fellows.
Okay, so he's going to take that. He's going to take the stick or the branch. Okay, this is talking about the families. This is talking about the tribes. This is talking about the nations. Go ahead.
And will put them with him, even with the stick of Judah, and make them one stick. Okay,
so he's going to take the kingdom of Judah, the kingdom of Ephraim or Israel, which was split under Solomon's son's rule. It was split. Okay, they were split because under was a Rehoboam's rule. because two kingdoms were created. You have the northern and the southern kingdom, okay? And now he's going to take those two nations, and he's going to do what?
And they shall be one in my hand.
And they're going to be one. That's unity. There's going to be that's a symbol of brotherhood. They shall be one. They shall be on one accord. Continue.
Right.
Verse 20. And the sticks whereon thou rest shall be in thine hand before their eyes. 21.
Come on, let's keep going. Let's go all the way to 22. So I'm
come. And say unto them, Thus saith the Lord God, Behold, I will take the children of Israel from among the heathen, whither they be gone, and will gather them on every side.
That's uniting them. Take them from. So if you notice, the Most High here is not encouraging integration.
Right.
Because if he encouraged integration, would take us from the heathen. He would say, I'll keep you right where you are and just stay in that place and just, just assimilate and try to, do the best you can. He said, I'm going to take you from the heathen. This shows the Most High wants us to be separate. Because he's going to take it. Because when you are with the heathen, you start practicing the heathen's ways. There is no unity. Then you can't have unity if you are mixed all in with the heathen, because you're going to start doing what the heathen wants. And that's what's happened to the black, Hispanic, and Native man in this country. When we have assimilated into the heathen system, it's caused us to separate and support the heathen. And that's why every election comes around, you don't see blacks, Hispanics, and Natives uniting. You see us separating and going to different sides. Well, I'm Republican. I'm a Democrat. Well, I'm a Muslim. Well, I'm a homosexual.
Right.
And everybody split up into 50 different groups, and there is no unity. But I guarantee you, the heathen unites to go against us. Right. There's always unity with the heathen when it comes to going against us. There's always unity. Even whites have said that. When it comes to going against the black man in this country, I don't care if they're Republican, I don't care if they're Democrat, I don't care if they're green, whatever, the green, whatever. They are going to unite to go against the black man. You will see true white brotherhood. And when I say white is a condition. Okay? And you got other groups that join in that white condition. The Asian man, the Arab man. They all are in that umbrella of white. Okay? And you will see, and the Most High said this long ago. He said this in Psalm 83, which we're going to go over. And I always say this, I know I repeat myself every week, but these heathen nations don't like each other. They don't like each other. The Africans and the Chinese don't like each other. The Hamites. The Arabs and the Chinese, the Arabs and the white man don't like each other. However, when it comes to the dismantling of the black man, or when I say black too, I'm talking about a condition. So that includes the black, Hispanic, and Native man. The condition we're in, they're going to unite together to make sure we stay in this hell.
Right.
And they show brotherhood amongst each other. And this says this, and the Most High said this in Psalm 83 when those nations said, "Come, let us cut them off." This is the song we say every week on the Sabbath in the Isupkbmore. Let us cut them off from being a nation. That the name of Israel will be remembered no more. See, through their brotherhood causes our destruction.
Right.
Their brotherhood causes us to be destroyed. So how are you going to join with a group that unites together to destroy you? And this is something that we have to get out of this thinking. Okay? And so our oppressor has created many systems, many schemes to divide us. What are they? Let's think of something. Let somebody tell me. What are some systems or things put in place to make sure that the black, and when I say black, I'm talking about the condition, we know what I'm talking about, that the black man stays divided? Tell me something. Come on, somebody tell me something. What are some systems that the oppressors put in place or did to divide us? Tell me something. Comments.
The educational system. So.
Educational system, right on. He knew, and I know why he said that because I'm working that. Educational system. Carter G. Woodson wrote in his book, The Miseducation of the Negro. He said this, and this is so profound, because he said this back in what, the 1920s? And it's so profound. He said black people are the only group that will take their most precious prize, their most precious jewels, and put it in the hands of their oppressors. And who are our precious jewels? Our children. No other group does that. No other group takes their precious jewels, their children, and puts their fate into the hands of another group. You will only see that in our communities. You will not, I keep saying this, you will not tomorrow go to a Jewish school, Jewish, not Jews, I'm talking about the Jewish school, and see all their teachers just so happen to be Hitler's descendants. You won't see it. They won't allow it. Because they believe that they must teach their children. You will not see in an old Japanese school all their teachers just so happen to be Chinese. They wouldn't have it. They wouldn't allow it. But we in our condition, we are the only ones. And a lot of times this comes from our leaders. A lot of times, General Hyman pointed out something that was just magnificent, was excellent. A lot of times we get into these conditions because our leaders ask for it.
Right.
Our leaders ask for it.
Right.
I want to be like the heathen, the white man. Let's get into their schools. Let's have our children sent to their schools. Well, what was my girl's name? The first elementary girl, Ruby Bridges, right there. Put her right in the white school. Okay, Ruby Bridges. She should be in her mid-60s by now. Yeah. But they got a picture of her surrounded by people to protect her. And just on and on, just wanted to sit at a counter with a white. Like the white, Claude Anderson said, just like the white man's things are better. White ice is colder. White ice is colder. Tyrone's ice is just something different. I want Mr. Mark's ice. White ice is colder. Okay? And we have this attitude because, why? Because our leaders ask for it. Our leaders ask for it. What's another thing that's up? Education. What else? Come on.
The justice system.
The justice system. I don't know why people. First of all, Kamala Harris is not black. Let's get that out of the way. She's Indian, and she never affiliated herself with black until she got on the platform. You see some of her older interviews. She's always talking about Indians. Okay, you see her older. So it's interesting because I don't understand why people think that this country is going to do anything for blacks. When they say, when a president, vice president is sworn in, what do they say? They say, I will protect the Constitution. Well, we all know when the Constitution was created, blacks were 3/5 of a person. So they're telling you, I'm going to protect that. I'm going to protect that. The Constitution was created to protect white wealth and to protect white assets. You have to remember, when the Constitution was made, blacks had no assets.
Right.
Blacks had no wealth. So they're going to keep that intact. And so when they're going to keep that intact, the court system is going to uphold those constitutional laws to make sure the white wealth stays with white people and blacks stay in their place. And you could see this all throughout history. When blacks were so-called free, they weren't free, but when the Civil War ended, they gave blacks nothing. They said, well, you know what? You guys have been going through this. Let's be fair. Biblically, when somebody was to leave you, well, really, it was supposed to be one of your brothers, you give them something to leave with. You weren't supposed to let them leave empty-handed. You were supposed to give them something to leave with so they could have a good start. They gave blacks nothing. Nothing. And said, find a way. And then what they were so smart with it is, then they started creating black codes so that the blacks could get back in jail or back under a system. Or they did what was called sharecropping. And the blacks at that time, a lot of them couldn't read, but everywhere they worked, they had to have a contract that they couldn't read. And so when blacks didn't know they were breaking a contract, and so they were brought back in chains right back on the plantation. That's unity by the white man to destroy it.
Sorry, I just had to throw this in there. The devil is in the details.
Come. It's in the common. The devil's in common. That's a good one. Common. So we have all these systems in place, and what is up? Meritorious manumission. That was the divide blacks. But black told on another black, then you could get some reward. You can get some crumbs. Meritorious. The feminist movement. That's another thing that divides us. Because all the feminist movement does, it just turns the black woman against the black man.
Right.
That's all the feminist movement did from, and I tried to explain to our sisters. Our sisters are the only ones that believe the feminist. Because here's the thing, I want people to understand. Every time when in this country when blacks do try to ask for some justice, you notice how they try to put other groups in there too, and they do that purposely. They try to put women, gay, homosexuality, what else? Disabled, everybody, Asians, everybody's put into that transgender now. Everybody's put into that system now, and you know why they do that? They do that so that blacks will get absolutely nothing.
Right.
And I tell people, the white woman can't complain about anything. Oh, I was oppressed. You got the wealth too, because you own slaves too. Let's not act like the white woman was so oppressed that she inherited her daddy's slaves too. She was not on that plantation getting her head beat in by the lash. So her struggle is not the black struggle. Please do not get fooled, sisters, when the white woman is trying to tell you that she's oppressed. She was not in the field with you. She was telling you to make her lemonade. That's what she was telling you. She enjoyed the fruits of slavery too.
Right.
And to let's up the ante, did you know, black woman, that most black men were lynched off the word of a white woman? It was off her word. So all she had to say was, I was frightened. And Tyrone got strung up. Many blacks were lynched because of her word. What oppression did she go through? She went through nothing. So please do not be fooled by that feminist. All the feminist movement does is put you at odds with the black man.
Right.
That's all it does. And which causes division. Because I guarantee the white woman will talk about how oppressed she is and go home and still serve her white man. She will go home and do it. Do not be fooled. What's some other ones? The drug epidemic concept.
Political system.
The political system. All through the political system. Whether you're Republican, Democrat, none of the parties do anything with blacks. None. The only difference is the Republicans are more upfront. The liberals just sit there with the blacks and just sit there and just make sure that you're comfortable as they're taking advantage of you. Right. That's the only difference. You want to talk about different? Republicans are up front. Negroes get nothing. They're just up front. Democrats will sit with you. You know, I understand that you guys are mad, but why don't we do it this way? Oh, that's the only difference. A Republican won't sit in your group. A Democrat will sit in your group and just control you from the inside. That's the only difference between a Republican and. But guess what? They both agree that blacks will get nothing. They both agree that blacks will stay divided. That's what they both agree on. So please don't get fooled. So you were going to say something?
No, I'm just saying there people try to get fooled into because they're playing one party against the next, but they're still one nation united under fraud. If you ask me,
Right.
One nation united
Under fraud.
and that's the truth. All of these things have divided us. Different religions have divided us. Like I said, black people say that there are 5 different things. Pentecostal, Methodist, Holy Rollers, holiness groups. It's so many. Muslim. I mean, it's so many. Islam. I mean, whatever it's called. But it's all these groups that divides black people. Okay, the media, of course, abortion, all of these, and the last but not least, of course, is the loss of our identity and language. Right. All of these things have caused division amongst blacks. Since our identity has been cut off, then what's the examples that our people can look to? Okay, so that's why we need to get back to these laws, statutes, commandments, so that we can learn the true spirit of brotherhood from the scriptures. So today, let's go ahead and get into it. Let's look at these examples from scripture of brothers and sisters that showed the spirit of true brotherhood. And we're going to see what their attitude was about certain situations. Okay? How when they were mistreated, how they treated their brothers. Because we got to understand something. One of the officers here, Matazabah, said it best. I remember he said this. I don't want to misquote him, but I'll try to say what he said. You'll see in our community, actually, we've seen it when we've gone out to camp. You'll see in our community, our brothers and sisters out here are so lost. We are so lost out here that you'll see the mindset of brothers and sisters out here. When we get a boot kiss, they will go off and call us racist. Like, I've seen gangsters, and I'm talking about hardcore gangsters, get mad at us in UPK, call us racist, y'all ain't whatever, but then selling dope too. And I'm not getting on the brothers, but this is the mindset.
Right.
They see us having a white man do a boot kiss going on, y'all racist. But we're still selling dope to our brothers.
Right.
Right there. I remember Matazabah said this. You'll see blacks in our community air out a whole block of blacks. Air them out. And think nothing of it, but will feed a homeless white man.
Right.
Have compassion on a white man. And this is the mentality we have to get out of. We have to get out of this mentality.
Sir.
And the reason why we're in this mentality is because we've lost our identity. Because we don't look at these examples. So today we're going to see some examples in scripture where brothers were done wrong or things were happening and our brothers and sisters in scriptures did things to remain in the spirit of brotherhood. Because some things are a challenge and are tough, but we have to do things to remain in the spirit of brotherhood. So we're going to read through some stories. I know everybody knows these stories, but we're going to read through them today to get context. We're going to start off with Joseph's story. Let's look at some lessons from Joseph first. Let's look at Genesis chapter 37. And we're going to read a lot of Joseph's story, but I want us to get context to kind of get the idea of what we're saying. So that, let's get Genesis chapter 37 and starting verse 1. We're going to read all the way through verse 28. We're going to stop. We're going to read it slowly. But I want us to get context.
Come on.
So let's, and of those that are just joining us, we're going to be talking about lessons from different brothers and sisters of scriptures that showed true brotherhood, who all remained in the spirit of brotherhood. Because sometimes, remaining in the spirit of brotherhood could be a challenge. Because something can be done to you that can take you out of that spirit. Especially when a brother does harm to you, but you'll see that how our brothers and sisters remained in that spirit, kept the attitude of brotherhood. All right, let's start in Genesis 37, verse 1.
Come on. Genesis chapter 37, verse 1. And Jacob dwelt in the land wherein his father was a stranger, in the land of Canaan. Verse 2. These are the generations of Jacob. Joseph, being 17 years old, was feeding the flock with his brethren, and the lad was with the sons of Bilhah, and with the sons of Zilpah, his father's wives. And Joseph brought unto his father their evil report.
Separate differences. So background is, that Jacob has his other children who are the progenitors of the tribes of Israel, the fathers of the 12 tribes of Israel. And so Joseph at this point, I'm not sure, I don't know if Benjamin is born yet, but if Benjamin's born, he's the baby at this point. But Joseph is still the youngest one at this point. He's one of the youngest. Benjamin might be born at this point or about to be born, but at this point, he's 17 years old. His brothers are older, and we're going to see Joseph's brother's attitude towards him. Let's continue.
Verse 3. Now Israel loved Joseph more than all his children, because he was the son of his old age, and he made him a coat of many colors.
So we see here Joseph is the favorite of Jacob. Jacob favors him, okay? And this is going to cause contention between Joseph and his brothers. Okay? This is going to cause contention. Read on.
Verse 4. And when his brethren saw that their father loved him more than all his brethren, they hated him.
Okay, so they hated their brother. Now, you have to understand that Joseph's brothers knew the law. They knew the law. There's examples that they knew the law. One example is when their sister Dinah was taken by that one guy. They were like, our sister. Well, they understood the law because Jacob had taught them. But they are not in the spirit of brotherhood right now. They hate their brother. Okay, so they're not in that spirit. They hate him. They're jealous of him. They hate him. Read on. Continue.
They hated him and could not speak peaceably unto him.
Okay, they couldn't even greet him correctly. I think it was I know I heard from, I learned here in Isupkbmore, one of the ways you can tell if a brother's not in the right spirit is if he stops reading you. If a brother can't, how about shit y'all stop brother, you can't say all that. You already know the brother's not in the right spirit. They couldn't even greet their brother Joseph peaceably. They had an attitude. Okay, so they ain't in the right spirit. All right, let's continue.
Verse 5. And Joseph dreamed a dream, and he told it his brethren, and they hated him yet the more.
Okay, so now they're like, who does this cat think he is? Now, okay, first one, our father likes him more, loves him more. And two, now he's dreaming dreams. Who does he think he is? And if you notice, if you notice a lot of times in scriptures, when the Most High does set apart an individual, a lot of times it's family. What happened between Moses and Korah? Korah and it was Korah. Korah and Moses were like cousins. And what did he say? You take too much on yourself. Who do you think you are? Okay, same attitude. Okay, and that's not. And see, precept where it says that you want to if you want to encourage, you want to encourage your brother even more than you. You want to put them out there. Okay, you want to put them out in the front. Okay, it's not this world teaches about me. About me, what about me? And this is the attitude that they had. Who do you think you are? Continue.
Verse 6. And he said unto them, Hear, I pray you, this dream, which I have dreamed. 7. For behold, we were binding sheaves in the field, and lo, my sheaf arose, and also stood upright. And behold, your sheaf stood round about, and made obedience to my sheep. Verse 8. And his brethren said unto him, Shalt thou indeed reign over us?
Right here. So now he's having a dream that they're all kind of bowing down to him. Right. And I mean, this is Joseph. I'm not in the mind of Joseph, but Joseph probably doesn't realize that he's taking them. This is causing them to further be away from the spirit of brotherhood. This is driving them further. Now you're going to reign over us? Who do you think you are? Okay? And you see, and this is actually common throughout the scriptures. You would think common between brothers. So this shows how this spirit, if you're not careful and staying close and obeying these laws, statutes, and commandments, this spirit can come upon you if you are not careful.
Right.
If you are not careful, staying in the right attitude of obeying these laws, statutes, and commandments, loving your neighbor as yourself, you can be in this spirit as well, or we all. I'm not just saying you, all of us can. Okay? Because if you look throughout the Bible there was a lot of times contention between brothers.
Right.
Okay, Cain and Abel, of course. Okay? Jacob and Esau. I mean, and you just go down the line. Okay? You just go down the line. There was contention. Joseph and his brothers. Korah and Moses. There's contention in the families. Okay? So it just shows that we need to be careful. we need to be careful. Let's continue.
Or shalt thou indeed have dominion over us? And they hated him yet the more for his dreams and for his words.
So they hated him even more. Hated him even more. And how can we compare it today? Because if we're not careful, we can get into the spirit and we see one of our brothers who maybe was a captain of 50 now go above us. And we are not careful. You know, like, wait a minute, that brother was a captain of 50, now he's a captain of 1,000. Who does he think he is? Okay, we have to be careful. Okay, we have to be careful. We always should, encourage, be proud of our brothers when they are uplifted in Israel, when they have a rank raised. If not, we could be falling into the same attitude. Who is this brother? I remember when he was what's before Captain? What are they? When we're the readers, what do we call them? Trooper. I remember he was a trooper. Right. Now he's a captain of 1,000. Now he's over me. Who does he think he is? Who does this brother think he is? Right. Captain of 1,000 now. I remember when he came to the UBK.
Right.
Okay, we have to be careful with that. In Israel, we have to be careful. This is a story for us. These are lessons for us. Because I think, the heathen has made it so that we just read this and this wasn't us. Because we got to remember, we've been here before. And we got to make sure that we don't come slack.
I just wanted to say that what you was driving was so heavy, but that mindset, you have to remember that we're one body.
Right.
So you have to feel separate from your brother to even have that attitude.
With the come.
I mean, the foot and the hand have different functions, but you can't have a body without each part.
Right.
Come. Right. And that's and I like how we said that. Because if you look at us as a body, and like I said, you love your brother, then you can best believe you won't fall, or if you see yourself fall into this, you can push that spirit away and get it come out of that spirit. But if you don't look at us as a body, okay, and you look and you go by those schemes that the heathen has put in place, those divisive schemes, we're going to be right into we all can fall right into the spirit. Let's continue. Good point. Verse 9.
And he dreamed yet another dream, and told it to his brethren, and said, Behold, I have dreamed a dream more. And behold, the sun and the moon and the 11 stars made obeisance to me. 10. And he told it to his father. And he told it. Slides.
We're in verse. Pick it up. Somebody pick it up in verse 10.
And he told his father and to his brethren, and his fathers rebuked him, and said unto him, What is this dream that thou hast dreamed? Shall I, thy mother, and thy brethren indeed come to bow down ourselves to thee, to the earth? Verse 11. And his brethren envied him, but his father observed the same.
Okay, so now his brothers now even envy him. They envy Joseph. So they envy. So now they envy Joseph. Okay, they envy him. They hate him. They envy him. All right. Let's continue. Let's pick it up in verse. We're going to go all the way through 28. Let's pick it up in verse 12. So now we see. So this beginning part sets the scene of what's going to happen to Joseph. And a lot of us have read the story, know the story, but it's good to review because the spirit of brotherhood is all through this story. Okay, because we're going to see Joseph's attitude. Okay, in response to what his brothers do to him. We're even going to see his brother's attitude, okay, in response to what they did to him, okay? And this is important when we want to learn about true brotherhood and learn from great examples. Let's start in verse 12 now.
Verse 12. Genesis chapter 37, verse 12. and his brethren went to feed their father's flocks in Shechem. Verse 13, and Israel said unto Joseph, do not thy brethren feed the flock in Shechem? Come, and I will send thee unto them. And he said to him, here I am. Verse 14, and he said to him, go, I pray thee, see whether it be well with thy brethren, and well with the flocks, and bring me word again. So he sent him out of the vale of Hebron, and he came to Shechem.
Stop right there. Now, one of the reasons his brother couldn't stand Joseph was Joseph would come back and tell the truth. And remember, Joseph came one time with a bad report, and they were angry. So now you're going to have this brother come. And remember, Joseph's the younger brother. Okay? So Joseph's young. So who does this guy do? Now he's going to come and check on me? Who does he think he is? Who's this? What kind of man is this? First, you favor him. You give him something with multicolors on it, something nice for him to wear. Now he dreams stuff. We're all bound to him. Now you're going to send him a check on me? You see all this sets the scene.
Right.
This sets the scene. If you don't stay in the spirit of brotherhood, and we don't, we can end up just like this with this attitude. Okay? Because the chips are being stacked here. Okay? Let's continue.
Verse 15. And a certain man found him, and behold, he was wandering in the field. And the man asked him, saying, what seekest thou? Verse 16. And he said, I seeketh my brethren. Tell me, I pray thee, where they feed their flocks. Verse 17. And the man said, they are departed hence. For I heard them say, let us go to Dothan. And Joseph went after his brethren and found them in Dothan.
Okay, so now Joseph was searching for him. Somebody told him where he could find his brothers. Okay? All right, now he's coming to check up on his brothers. This is the youngest one. Well, he's younger than them. Okay? Now he's coming to check on them. Remember the last time, they're like, he gave a bad report. Okay? So, let's see what happens. All right, let's pick it up in verse, we're going to go all the way through 28. Let's pick it up in verse 18.
Verse 18, and when they saw him afar off, even before he came near unto them, they conspired against him to slay him.
Now you see the attitude. See, when you start to hate your brother, what comes next? Murder. That spirit comes next. Now some people think, well, I wouldn't do that. But you see how quickly that attitude goes. When you stay out of that spirit of brotherhood, you start to envy your brother, you start to hate your brother, and then what else comes? You want to kill your brother.
Right.
And that's the spirit that is that we see in our nation today. We see, I mean, even if you see brothers in the street, what happens? You see a brother in the street, he's getting the money, he's getting cars, and what happens? The other brothers around envy him. Like, well, who does he think he is? But I'm flossing and I've got all this stuff. And what do they say? Oh, he makes me making money. What do they do? I'm going to rob him. And I'm going to kill him and take his block or whatever. Take whatever he has. And I'm going to kill him. It all rolls in together. And see, when we're not obeying the law, statutes, commandments, this is what happens. This is what happens. Let's continue.
Verse 19, and they said one to another, behold, this dreamer cometh. Verse 20, come down therefore, and let us slay him, and cast him into some pit. And we will say, some evil beast hath devoured him, and we shall see what will become of his dreams.
And you see the attitude, okay? And we see the same attitude in Israel today. These are our forefathers. You see the attitude.
Right.
You see the type of attitude we can have. If we're not obeying the law, statutes, and commandments, you can see the attitude, and we see this attitude. Outside, and many of us have probably betrayed this attitude before we came into the UBK.
Right.
That's right.
Before we came to the UBK. This attitude. We want to slay our brother.
Right.
We want to kill him. All right, let's continue.
Verse 21, and Reuben heard it, and he delivered him out of their hands, and said, let us not kill him. Verse 22, and Reuben said unto them, shed no blood, but cast him into this pit that is in the wilderness, and lay no hand upon him, that he might rid him out of their hands to deliver him to his father again.
Reuben was the oldest. So, I mean, it's like, let's not kill our little brother. This is our brother we talk about.
Right.
So you saw Reuben have some sense came into Reuben. Okay, let's not kill the little brother here. I mean, at this time, he's only 17. They grown men.
Right.
It's like, all right, let's continue.
Verse 23. Verse 23. And it came to pass, when Joseph was come unto his brethren, that they stripped Joseph out of his coat.
What is that? You see that? Robbing him. Taking his stuff. It's a nice coat that his father made for. Who does he? Give me that. Okay, stripped him off and give me that. Okay? Continue.
His coat of many colors that was on him. Verse 24. And they took him and cast him into a pit. And the pit was empty. There was no water in it.
How many times have we seen in our nation where we have cast each other in a pit?
Right.
Cast each other down, knocked each other down. Okay? And why? And why? Because when we are not obeying these laws, statutes, commandments, and following heathens, this is the spirit, this is the attitude we can get into. Alright? Let's continue.
Verse 25. And they sat down to eat bread, and they lifted their eyes and looked, and behold, a company of Ishmaelites came from Gilead with their camels bearing spicery and balm and myrrh, going to carry it down to Egypt.
Okay? And what do we do today? A lot of times to turn on our brothers, what do? We consult with heathens.
Right.
We consult with heathen. We consult with the Arabs. We consult with the white man. We consult with the Asian man. We consult with Hamites. We consult with them just at the expense of our brothers. Okay? You see the same attitude today. It's no different. You see the same attitude. You see our leader, and a lot of times it's our leaders. You see our leaders always sell out so that they can get a crumb. So they can get a crumb. They will sell out our brothers and our sisters so that they can get a crumb and they can look good. Okay? That's all, and you see the same, and they'll do it at the expense of us. All right, let's continue.
Verse 26. And Judah said unto his brethren, what profit is it if we slay our brother and conceal his blood? Verse 27. Come and let us sell him to the Ishmaelites, and let not our hand be upon him, for he is our brother and our flesh. And his brethren were content.
Go Judah right there. Judah right there. Let's sell him and let's get some bread off of it.
Right.
Let Judah right there. Leading that with that attitude. Let's get a profit out of it at least. Let me get a couple dollars out of it.
Right.
All right, there it is. Judah right there. Continue.
Verse 28. Then there passed by Midianites, merchantmen, and they drew and lifted up Joseph out of the pit, and sold Joseph to the Ishmaelites for 20 pieces of silver, and they brought Joseph into Egypt.
Same attitude we see today. Selling our brothers out just for a crumb. And like I said, we see this in the nation of Israel today if we're not following these laws, statutes, and commandments. This is not the spirit of brotherhood. We want to see this because you want to see the difference. When you don't obey the laws, statutes, commandments, when you don't love your brother as yourself, when you don't encourage your brother, when your brother has some type of gift and you don't encourage it, then this spirit can come about. This spirit and this attitude can come about, and this is not the spirit of brotherhood. This just causes division. And when we want to integrate with the heathen, we want to follow his system, we want to do his ways, this is the type of attitude we have. We can have if we want to integrate with the heathen. But when we separate, When we separate and want to obey the law, statutes, commandments, we'll have a different spirit. We'll have a different attitude. All right, so Joseph's been sold off. His brother's got a prophet. We know the story. They came back with a story with the father. The father's like, oh, my son is gone. He mourns.
Right.
We know Joseph was sent to Egypt. I'm just paraphrasing for time's sake. We know Joseph was sent to Egypt. He was put under a man named Potiphar. He was working for him, made his house look good, but then his wife, we know, was pretty much a loose woman, tried to sleep with Joseph. Joseph refused because he wanted to keep and obey the law, statutes, and commandments. Slack it.
Take your time.
He wanted to obey the law, statutes. Come on, sir. Loud, sir. Come on, sir. He wanted to obey the law, statutes, and commandments, but she still pretty much, I think she just yelled and he harassed her. Same thing they do to black men today. You know, same attitude. Just frame the brother. Right. Same attitude today. Okay, right. She was just a Hamite doing it. But you know, these nations have learned. They've learned from our stories too. Oh, this is how we. That's why you look at these stories. These other nations learn from our book too. Okay, they learn from our book too. Oh, this is what you do. This is what we need to do. Okay, she yelled rape, or he tried to violate me. Joseph now in jail. Okay, we know Joseph was in prison for years, and then he came out. He interpreted a couple people's dreams. He came out, and then he interpreted Pharaoh's dream. Joseph is now second in command of Egypt. Okay, so I wanted to just sum all that up so that we can get to Genesis 42. All right, so now we're in Genesis 42. Joseph is, pretty much the man of Egypt now. Okay, he's the man of Egypt, and we know it was by the work of the Most High that this happened. All right, so now it's been years since his brothers have seen him. Probably about, maybe about even 20 years or something, or 20 or so odd years. Because I think his brothers saw him in the time that there was famine. There was 7 years of plenty, and then there was 7 years of famine. Joseph was 17 when he was sold away, and then when his brothers came, it was around the years of famine. So I would say we're estimating maybe about 20 years, give or take. But Joseph's in his 30s now. Yeah, he's in his 30s. Well in his 30s now. So let's look at Joseph. He hasn't seen his brothers for a while. He's a grown man. Now he's in his 30s. Now let's look at Genesis chapter 42. We're going to start in verse 6. Let's look at Genesis chapter 42, and we're going to go to verse 6.
Genesis chapter 42, verse 6. And Joseph was the governor over the land.
Okay, so he's governor. He is the man. Okay, Pharaoh pretty much put him in charge. He's the right-hand man of Pharaoh. Go ahead.
It was that sold to all the people of the land.
Okay, nobody could come in and out of Egypt without pretty much Joseph's command. As far as selling things, as far as what's to be given, it all had to come through Joseph. The Pharaoh entrusted him. Continue.
And Joseph's brethren came and bowed down themselves before him with their faces to the earth.
Well, we can see Joseph's dream came true. We can see that it happened. Whether they believed it or not, it came true. Go ahead, continue.
And Joseph saw his brethren, and he knew them, but made himself strange unto them, and spake roughly unto them.
Stop right there. I just want to make a quick argument to the people that don't think that we look like that the Israelites are the white men. There's groups out there that say Israelites were white. Okay, they said that the ancient, they'll agree that the Egyptians were dark, black colored skin, for say. I don't want to say black per se, but darker colored. But I always want to make this argument. If Joseph didn't have the same skin color, he would have been easily identifiable. Right. They'd be like, what's this white man standing up here? Oh, it's Joseph, what's up, bro? They didn't recognize a white man just standing up there besides the Egyptians. Obviously, Joseph looked like us. But, that's just a point I want to point out for the people that just, claim that Israelites were just white as they come. Right. That just does not fit into the storyline. They didn't recognize him. Continue.
And he said unto them, Whence come ye? And they said, From the land of Canaan to buy food. Verse 8. And Joseph knew his brethren, but they knew not him. Verse 9.
We're going to go all the way through 24. Select.
And Joseph remembered the dreams which he dreamed of them, and said unto them, Ye are spies, to see the nakedness of the land ye are come.
Now, I want to say this. Joseph just wants to see what spirit his brothers are in. Okay, Joseph, he wants to see what type of spirit they're in. I mean, it's been years past, but remember, Joseph's last memory of his brothers, of them, were them hating him. So he wants to see what type of attitude. Have my brothers changed over the years?
Right.
What type of attitude do they have now? Because obviously I didn't know who he was. But he wants to see what type of attitude. His last memory is, they threw me into a pit, sold me off. Are these the same brothers that hate me?
Yeah.
That's why he didn't reveal himself right away. He wants to see what type of attitude they have. What spirit do these brothers have now? Continue.
And they said unto him, Nay, my lord, but to buy food, and thy servants come. 11. We are all one man's sons. We are true men. Thy servants are no spies. 12. And he said unto them, Nay, but to see the nakedness of the land ye are come. 13. And they said, Thy servants are 12 brethren, the sons of the man in the land of Canaan. And behold, the youngest is this day with our father, and one is not.
Okay, this definitely confirms who they are, because now they're telling Joseph the story, which he already knows. Because he definitely knows, oh, these are my brothers right here. Okay, continue.
14. And Joseph said unto them, That is it that ye spake unto you, saying, Ye are spies. 15. Hereby ye shall be proved. By the life of Pharaoh ye shall not go forth hence, except your youngest brother come hither.
Okay, now he's giving a command, which, this is something they hated in the past. But now, younger brother is still giving commands. But now he's in a position where they can't say nothing about it, even though they don't know that's their brother. But they're willing now. They're willing. And that's funny because, what's sad is that we have to get out of is because a lot of times we'll show more respect to a foreigner than to our own brother.
Yes.
See, they think Joseph's a foreigner. Yeah, yes sir, yes sir. Yes, whatever you say, brother. But when it comes to our own, it's like, and we're not in the right spirit, we're getting that attitude spirit. Okay, well, who does he think he is? Well, white man or heathen come and say something, oh, yes, whatever you say, boss. Okay? Because they think Joseph's a foreigner. He's a powerful man. Okay? Let's continue.
Verse 16. Send one of you, and let him fetch your brother, and ye shall be kept in prison, that your words may be proved, whether there be any truth in you, or else by the life of Pharaoh surely ye are spies.
Want to see what type of men they were. Were these men of integrity? Okay? All right, let's continue.
17. And he put them all together into ward 3 days.
Okay?
18. And Joseph said unto them the third day, This do, and live, for I fear the Most High. 19. If ye be true men, let one of your brethren be bound in the house of your prison. Go ye, carry corn for the famine of your houses. 20. But bring your youngest brother unto me, so shall your words be verified, and ye shall not die. And they did so.
Notice what type of attitude Joseph has though. Okay, so because sometimes I don't want us to miss this. Joseph, even though he's testing what type of attitude, he still gives them food. He really did not have to. Especially if he suspected that they were spies, which he really didn't, knew they weren't. But he still fed his brothers. Okay? He still gave his brother. You see the spirit that Joseph's in? He still made sure that his brothers had something to eat. Okay? Especially to take it back to his father. Okay? So you can already see what type of attitude Joseph really has. Joseph still had compassion for his brothers. Even though his last memory of his brothers is that they did him wrong. But you notice he wants to remain in the spirit of brotherhood. Okay? And this is sometimes the challenge that we have. Okay, but we got to look to our examples in the scriptures. To remain in the spirit of brotherhood, okay, you still have to go that mile for that brother. Even when that brother may be in the wrong spirit or maybe did something wrong. Okay? Now the scripture does say you need to go to your brother. Okay? Now Joseph didn't go to complete because he wants to see what type of attitude. But you are to go to your brother. Because General Muhammad, remember, said that you're not being brotherly if you don't go to your brother. You're not being brotherly. Because then you'll be in the wrong spirit, you'll be bitter, and you'll hate your brother. Especially if something happens. Alright, let's continue.
And they said one to another, we are very guilty concerning our brother, in that we saw the anguish of his soul when he besought us, and we would not hear. Therefore is this distress come upon us.
You see the guilt and the burden that they have been carrying. Okay, Joseph hears this and sees this. The guilt, the burden that his brothers have been having to hold all these years. Okay, the burden that they've had, knowing that they think that their brother is gone or something's gone. Joseph sees this. He started to see what type of attitude his brothers had. He started to see, oh, these brothers have changed. Continue.
22. And Reuben answered them, saying, spake I not unto you, saying, do not sin against the child, and ye would not hear. Therefore, behold, also his blood is required. Okay, so Joseph actually hears them talking. See, they don't know that Joseph understands their tongue. Okay? And Joseph understands what they're saying to each other, and he hears that. And this is going to make Joseph even have more compassion for his brothers. Okay? Not to have hate, not to have a spirit of revenge, but this caused him to have more compassion. Let's continue. 23. And they knew not that Joseph understood them, for he spake unto them by an interpreter. 24. And he turned himself about from them and wept, and returned to them again. Let's read that again. He did what? And he turned himself about from them and wept. Stop right there. Okay? Even though Joseph's brothers did all this ill will towards him, did evil towards him, and hated him, when he saw the burden that his brothers had to bear, the guilt, okay, this moved him for compassion for them. That is true brotherhood. That is true in spite of all that they did to him, in spite of all the hate, in spite of all the things that they probably called him, all the things that they probably said to him. He was moved with compassion. You know why? Because Joseph did not like to see his brothers suffer. He did not like seeing the suffering of his people. That is the attitude we have to have. And that is the attitude we do have in the UPK. We do not like to see the suffering of our people. We hate to see it. Because you gotta think about it. When we go to camp every week, we will have brothers confront us, be angry with us. But then I've seen General Shalimar do this a few times. Talking to the person that's angry with them. General Shalimar will sit up there. General Shalimar has that deep voice. But even though you say that, I still love you.
Right.
And then you'll see a few seconds later, they'll be over there talking to the table, laughing and talking to General Shalimar.
Right.
I've seen this so many times. Because you know why? Because even though they have said all those mean things to General Shalimar, even though I think General Shalimar said one time people throwing things at him, General Shalimar will still stay in the spirit of brotherhood. You know why? Because he has compassion for his people. Just like Joseph had compassion for his brothers. And see, with that compassion that we see that Joseph has, with that compassion we see General Shalimar has, you'll see a brother change. I've seen people plenty of times go at General Shalimar. He will always say, I still love you. And the next thing you know, they're talking to him. You know why? Because they know he really loves his people.
Right.
That is the spirit of brotherhood we all need to emulate. That is the attitude that we need to have. All right, let's continue. I know my time's running. Let's continue. Let's go to Genesis 45 now. Okay, so we know now. So Joseph was moved. They caused him even weak for his brothers. Okay, let's go to Genesis 45 now. We're just going to see more of what type of attitude Joseph had towards his brother. And this is the attitude we need to have. All right, let's go to Genesis 45. Let's start. We're going to read verses 1 through 5.
Come. Genesis chapter 45, verse 1.
Okay, let me slack it. Let me give the backstory. So we know at this point, okay, after a while, we know that Joseph told them to go back, bring Benjamin here. That was the youngest brother. Benjamin came. Okay, Joseph did a couple more things to test, to see what type of attitude and spirit that they were in. But in the end, what Joseph saw that his brothers had changed because they were willing to risk their own lives to save Benjamin.
Right.
So he saw that he saw that they learned something. And Joseph learned something too.
Right.
They both, so Joseph, when he saw all this caused him to finally reveal himself to his brothers. When he saw that his brothers' hearts had changed over that year span of them not being together. All right, so this is where Joseph reveals himself. Now, when Joseph reveals it, now remember, even though Joseph revealed himself, he could have said, you guys did all this evil towards me, now you're going to pay.
Right.
Because I'm in charge pretty much of Egypt under Pharaoh, and now I'm going to require of your crime.
Right.
That's what Joseph could have said. I'm requiring of your crime, I'm going to require it of you, and now you're going to be punished. He could have said, except for Benjamin, my father and Benjamin will come, but you're going to require it. But let's see what attitude Joseph had. Let's read Genesis 45, verse 1.
Genesis chapter 45, verse 1. Then Joseph could not refrain himself before all them that stood by him. And he cried, cause every man to go out from me. And there stood no man with him, while Joseph made himself known unto his brothers.
Now he's revealed who he is to his brothers. I'm sure his brothers were like, are you kidding me? I mean, I'm sure it was a big shock. Continue.
Verse 2. And he wept aloud, and the Egyptians and the house of Pharaoh heard. And verse 3. And Joseph said unto his brethren, I am Joseph. Doeth my father yet live? And his brethren could not answer him, for they were troubled at his presence.
The guilt is starting to come back to his brothers. They couldn't even answer him. First of all, it was unbelievable that he's alive. They sold him away as a slave, and now he's pretty much right under Pharaoh. I mean, they were disbelieved. And the guilt, the guilt comes back. The pain, the anguish that they had to bear. And Joseph could have laid it on them. He could have laid it on them. Okay? But let's see what Joseph says. Go ahead.
Verse 4. And Joseph said unto his brethren, come near to me, I pray you. And they came near. And he said, I am Joseph, your brother, whom ye sold into Egypt. Verse 5. Now therefore be not grieved, nor angry with yourselves, that ye sold me hither. For God did send me before you to preserve life.
Notice his attitude. Notice that he did not bring the charge against them. He knew there was a bigger purpose. He knew there was a greater purpose in that situation. He did not charge his brothers for that crime. He didn't charge them. He didn't throw it in their face. He said, how's my father? He said, I know that, he said, you guys sold me, but don't. He pretty much said, what does he say? He said, do not be grieved by this or angry with yourselves. He knew it was a bigger purpose. Spirit of brotherhood right here. The spirit of brotherhood. All right, let's read verse 6.
Verse
let's go
6.
6 through 15. Come.
Verse 6. For these 2 years hath famine been in the land, and yet there are 5 years in the which there shall neither be earing nor harvest. Verse 7. And God sent me before you to preserve you a posterity in the earth.
Notice how Joseph not only is not charging them of the crime, he's talking about providing for them.
Right.
He's talking about providing for his brothers, the ones that hated him. You see the spirit of brotherhood here.
Right.
This is true. This is true. This is the true spirit of brotherhood. Continue.
And to save your lives by a great deliverance. Verse 8. So now it was not you that sent me hither, but God. And he hath made me a father to Pharaoh.
Notice how now he's saying there was a greater purpose. There was a greater purpose of why I was sent here. All right? He does not want his brothers to have that pain. You know, sometimes when you go through pain, you don't want to see other people be in pain as well. You don't want to see others. Joseph had pain, being separated from his family for 20 years, not seeing, his brothers, being in a strange land. Okay, that's enough pain, agony. But he doesn't want his brothers to suffer. He knows they suffered mentally. All right, continue. Let's go to 3:15. Come.
And Lord of all his house, and a ruler throughout all the land of Egypt. Verse 9. Haste ye, and go up to my father, and say unto him, Thus saith thy son Joseph, God hath made me Lord of all Egypt. Come down unto me, tarry not. Verse 10. And thou shalt dwell in the land of Goshen, and thou shalt be near unto me, thou and thy children, and thy children's children, and thy flocks, and thy herds, and all that thou hast.
Notice how not only is he going to bless them, he's going to bless their children. Because sometimes, when people wanted to have an act of revenge, not only did they make the one person suffer, they make their children.
Right.
You notice how Joseph's going to bless them and their children.
Right.
This is what a great attitude this man has. This is great brotherhood. Continue.
Verse 11. And there will I nourish thee, for yet there are 5 years of famine, least thou and thy household, and all that thou hast come to poverty. Verse 12. And behold, your eyes see, and your eyes of my brother Benjamin, that is in my mouth, that Shalakia. Let me start that over again. Verse 12. And behold, your eyes see, and the eyes of my brother Benjamin, that it is my mouth that speaketh unto you.
Stop right there. So I want us to notice something that we see a lot in our community. Notice how powerful Joseph has become. What does Joseph do when he becomes powerful? He provides land. He provides resources to his people.
Right.
Because you'll see a lot of us when we make it, and a lot of us will say, well, I did it myself, so Black's got to find a way. Stop complaining. Black's got to stop complaining. It's fair. You'll see that. You'll see them interview black celebrities that have made it. I won't even say they really didn't make it. Okay, but you know what I mean. That have gotten maybe out of a poverty line, have access to some resources, and they'll ask them, so, what do you think about your situation? Are black people in a rough situation? Just they need to do what I did. I got out the hood. I did. They need to strap up their bootstraps and do it themselves. Go, Slotty. I know you said. Come on.
I was going to say, that reminds me, Lil Wayne, I never experienced any racism.
Nah, I saw that interview. I saw Morgan Freeman. Listen, Morgan Freeman, what do you think about doing racism? Just stop talking about it. That's what Morgan Freeman did. Stop talking about it. That's a solution.
Right.
Just stop talking. And white people love that. Because now they feel like they got a free ride. Yeah, stop talking about that racist stuff. Just get off, just strap up the bootstraps and get up. Notice how Joseph's attitude was, I'm providing land, resources. He didn't say, y'all got to strap your boots up yourself. Y'all messed me up anyway. And look, I became governor. Now find a way, bro. Find a way in the famine.
Well, that was like Steve Harvey. What Steve Harvey say? I don't sleep. Rich people don't sleep.
Yeah.
So if you want to be rich, you can't sleep.
Right. No, and that's not a spirit of brotherhood.
Right.
That's not the attitude. It's not the attitude we need to have, but you'll see that in our community. That blacks or whoever that's made it feel like, well, I made it, so, they didn't really make it. Let me just say that. But you know what I mean. They'll make it seem like, well, all black, you just got to stop complaining. Just stop talking about it. Strap up and put your boots on, get out there. No, Joseph didn't say it. He provided, gave resources. because he knew that his brothers were in a horrible condition.
Right.
The same brothers that hated him. I just want to point out, let's get to 15, I'm going to stop right there.
Verse 13. And ye shall tell my father of all my glory in Egypt, and of all that ye have seen, and ye shall haste and bring down my father hither. Verse 14. And he fell upon his brother Benjamin's neck and wept, and Benjamin wept upon his neck. Verse 15. Moreover, he kissed all his brethren and wept upon them, and after that his brethren talked with him.
So what attitude did Joseph have today? The lesson, we'll say, the first lesson that we can get from this, from these many lessons, is that we can learn from the story of Joseph that brotherhood requires long suffering. And what does long suffering mean? Does anybody know what long suffering means? What does that mean? Come.
You want to have not quick to become angry with your brother.
Long temper. You're not quick tempered. That's the lesson we can get from Joseph's story. True brotherhood requires us to be long-suffering. Okay? And long-suffering, like our brother said, means to bear injuries or provocation for a long time. Joseph bared injuries for a long time.
Right.
Okay? And to not be easily provoked. Even from that, he was not easily provoked to hate his brothers. Okay? It means long-tempered and to do not have a short fuse. So brotherhood requires us to suffer long with our brothers and sisters.
Right.
That is the lesson we can learn from Joseph's story. We're going to continue this the next time. But with that, I'm going to turn this over to priest and officer Matham. Shalom.
Very heavy.
Shalom Israel, security announcements. We are the Isupkbmore out of 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under the Commanding General Yohanan. New rules for brothers and sisters. When a new brother or sister comes into the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They are here to shed themselves in the world. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or sister. There's another 6 months in which the brother or sister will court each other. After this 6-month period, the brother or sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithes, which is a commandment. You can find this in Numbers 18:21 and Malachi 3:8-10. Means 10th in the Hebrew and is pronounced ma'ash. A tenth of every penny of any increase the Lord gives you, give to the Treasury Department or teacher. Priest fund, a free will offering for priests, not mandatory. Whatsoever amount you would like to give. Up and coming Holy Convocation, we had the Passover, which is April the 24th in Houston, Texas. Make sure you get your flights together. Make sure you reserve your hotel room. Hotel rooms are going fast, so you want to get yourself in. You want to get your slot. You don't have to put any money down. All you have to do is reserve it, and they'll hold on to your hotel room. You understand? We also have the Feast of Purim, which is February the 25th, Thursday, February 25th, Friday, February 26th. Coming up. What's that? February 2021. It's coming up next week. You understand? Get yourself together. Come celebrate with the Akim and Aquadium and have a good time celebration. All right? Let's see. Remind Akim and Aquadium to check on social media such as isupk.com, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and so on for ISUPK events and material. If a brother wants to be a trooper in the school, then he is to start wearing all black, which includes like boots, shirts, pants,
headband, and scarf. And with that, we're going to give one courteous salute to the teacher, men of Israel, a Majim Shabbat, a Majim, Barak,
Yahweh Hashem Yahushua Barakatah.
Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua Barakatah. That's your time. Class dismissed.
My whole life was trying to find something to follow. Had loyalty, every man tried to borrow. Felt pain and a lot of sorrow. Got betrayed, so packed, I didn't even have my heart broke. Living confused, about to lose hope. Cops got me on the side of the road like a sideshow. Need an antidote before I croak. Now I'm setting fire to rhythm man blues, but this guitar smoke. Rebel with no cause, trying to find direction. The world got me vexed. Picked up a bad liquor habit that's hereditary from oppression. Felt like my life was on fire, trying to find an exit. Now look, 10 G's plus a good wreck. Sometimes a follower is a soldier, trying to find a good shepherd. Plus when you in hell, how did you excel? With them the breath of life, I don't believe in fairy tale. Listen well to what I tell. No calling can cause pain, something that a rebel knows very well. Can't you tell I was sent from the Lord? Got a tongue like